Yes, greetings. This is Find Your Voice on SLR Radio. And we do have a special guest online, straight from Gambia. And we do have, is it Shakira? Can you hear me?
I can, barely, but it's
Hold
okay.
on. We're very low for some reason.
Yeah, and you're very fuzzy.
Okay, hold on, babe. We cannot hear you. You there? Hello?
Yes, I'm here. I'm here.
Yeah, we're just having a... Just bear me a second. Some little technicality here. You there?
Yeah, and my reception's not very good tonight.
Okay, we can hear a little
It's a
bit
bit
more.
slow.
Okay then, you're slightly more louder now. Okay, fantastic. Okay, I want to introduce yourself to the listeners. As I said, we have a sisters from Gambia. Introduce your full name, and your status, Because all I want people to know that we have no lightweight, right? And we have to kind of work a negotiation for sister to join us, because she is busy bee. I would call her busy bee as well, because she's just, and the fact that she's in Gambia, as I said, you know what I mean? So we have status. So give people your full name, because we don't have time to go into your business right now, because we're going to be here for another half an hour. We just touch. If you go for your CV, just let people know your full name and the kind of things you do now. Come true.
Okay. All right. Well, my name is Shakina Chinadu, and I live in the Gambia. Originally from the United Kingdom, but 4 years ago I moved here. And it's been an interesting journey, because I came just to do my health business, which I started in the UK. But the ancestors have had other jobs for me to do. And it seems as though they want me to more help our people get over and reconnect with their African roots. So I'm currently working with the Constitution Review Commission, where they are drafting the Constitution. So fighting for citizenship and land ownership in the Gambia.
Okay.
I'm also called a lady builder.
You call lady? Hold on a second. Them call you lady builder?
Lady builder, they call me here.
How come them call you lady builder? What kind of...
Sorry?
Why them call you lady builder?
Because I build houses for people here. I'm a building contractor.
All right. So tell me something. So people want a house built, you're the person they need to speak to, yeah?
Yes. I'm on my third house right now that I'm building for people who are living in the UK. Just like anywhere in the world, you've got to watch over the workmen.
Yes.
So it's my job to be on site, to go and buy all the materials, to work with the architect, make sure they're following the plans, things like that.
Okay.
And it's very interesting. I also sell land to our people, and so far I've created 4 housing estates. I'm on my 4th one now. And it's just making sure that our people can afford land, and it's creating a bridge for them to come home, because it's really important that our people have a plan B. We know now that you can't depend on staying in the UK. We saw Windrush. We don't know what's happened with Brexit. Our people need a way out. And also, I think it's just important that we do connect with our ancestral home. And, you know, not everybody can live here full time, like people like myself and others. But even if it's 6 months of the year that you get away and come here, you'll have a better quality of life.
Right. So, what made you go in the first place? Because I understand you've been there for the last 15 years, 18 years, something like that?
Yeah, I've been coming here for about 15 years. And really sort of just dipping my toes back in the UK from time to time. But this has really been my home since 2005. And, but, you know, coming back to do a bit of work, you know, seeing the children through their education. And as soon as the last child finished her university degree, I decided to pack up and leave and come and live here permanently.
Okay, then. Because I got the impression that you know, you was living in the UK. I know you go to Gambia from time to time. Cause last time every time I see you, you say you're going to Gambia and them thing. But you know, you had them kind of solid plan, you know, them kind of big plan. Yeah.
I had a 12-year plan before I moved.
All right.
And I worked to effect that plan to enable me to come and live here permanently, which I did.
So I just want to bring the reasoning forward, because you talk about citizenship and so forth. So why is it no, and correct me if I've misrepresented information, that I understand that you have to be there, you know, for about 15 years. For example, those who coming from the UK, you know, you have to be living there for 15 years before you get any kind of citizenship. But I understand, no, you're changing the where you're working with to change the law, so to speak. But why all of a sudden this has come up? And what? Yeah.
Okay, so in the 1997 Constitution, under the former president, there were two ways to naturalize and get citizenship. The first one is if you are married for 7 years to a Gambian and living here continuously.
Yeah.
And even if that marriage had ended, as long as you were married and living here continuously for 7 years, you could apply for citizenship. If you are not married, again, living here continuously, you would be able to apply after 15 years. Now, 15 years is a very long time.
Yeah, it's a long time, that man.
Too long
for
people who have descended from Africa.
Yes.
Other people, yes, if you want to put that on them, put that on them. But I don't think it's fair for us to be caught into that. So in October 2018, I found out that the Constitution was being redrafted, and wrote a letter to the Constitution Review Commission to ask them for an audience to go and do a presentation with them. They agreed. I did a presentation and explained to them that we wanted an exception clause to become citizens in Gambia. And what I said to them is that I didn't just want a particular president to say, oh, here's, 50 citizenships for particular people, law, so there's no confusion. And so I said to them, why not do an exception clause for us that's fast-tracked? So instead of 15 years, why not look at 2 to 4 years maximum of living in the country, and we can apply for citizenship. Also, it needs to be dual citizenship. We need to be able to hold on to that British passport, because that's part of our reparations.
Yes.
That passport allows us to travel around the world quite freely.
Yes.
So we should be able to hold on to that. And also, why I wanted it in law as well is because it's generational, so that our children and our children's children shouldn't have to fight for this again, because once it's in law, that's it. It's written. It's solid.
Okay.
And
I just want to.
And they have listened.
Sorry, Mrs. Go on. Continue.
I'm saying they have listened, and they're making a recommendation to Parliament to consider what we want in the Constitution. So that's a real step forward for us, because there's no other African country doing that at the moment, where we are actually negotiating with them to put it into law, not just a subjective president giving, a few citizenship, but we're saying we want it in law for all.
Right. Let me just jump in here because and from understand that you get a lot of support from the Gambian people them out there as well. They're very much supporting what's your cause, so to speak. Yeah.
Very much supportive. Very supportive, yeah.
Okay then. And it's quite interesting because one of the things I get to understand is that we don't understand that quite a few people are returning back to the motherland, especially to Gambia, what I know of, right? And and we want to contribute something back to the just want to go there, and the response we're getting from the people, from the Gambians, is overwhelming. Because funny enough, right, my brother was out there just the other day, just over the holiday period, and he said that it was just amazing experience because through his friends was going out there, and we do know someone who's going out regular, and he said he had a great time, and and it's really encouraging. And so I saw something on WhatsApp where in America, these so-called movie stars they're going back to Ghana. They have something called a big door of no return or something like that. Some big thing they might do out there. So
the year of return, Ghana had the year of return, the right of abode in 2019.
Okay, so a lot of the people that are going back to
I would say with that, the only criticism I would say with that is that I think it's become more like a fashion fad for celebrities, rather than a reconnection to our roots. And I think that should be first and foremost, not just picture taking and just giving a few movie stars citizenship. It needs to be taken more seriously than that.
Well, one thing I would say is that, my sister, that the ancestors, they're working right through you, man, because we could feel your vibes, your love, your energy, and you have that kind of, even though I can't see you physically, I could see you physically, but you got that kind of spiritual vibes, and the ancestors are working right through you. We can feel that right here.
Thank you.
Yeah, we do feel your vibe. So the question will be, where does the future holds for you? What is your plan for next? Well, like I said, you had a 12-year plan, so you must have another 30, 40 years plan in front of you. So what's your future? What's the future holds for you? What's your plan, so to speak, for the next 5, 10, 15 years or whatever?
Okay, so as I said, I've got 4 estates now.
Yes.
For diaspora. So I want to continue with that as long as the demand is there. If people want to come, I will help them come and settle and navigate themselves in Africa. Also continue to assist them building their houses, give them ideas for businesses to help develop the continent, and really just come and place our feet where we were stolen from. But also, I think what's important for people to realize that every time we come home, we bring the ancestors home with us.
Okay, say that again.
Sorry?
No, say that bit again. That's powerful. Every time you come home, you bring the ancestors.
Every time we bring them with us, because they can't come without us. They need us to come home.
All right.
So on the 24th of November last year, I put on an event to celebrate the first housing estate, and which is called the Door of Return, not the Door of No Return. It's called the Door of Return.
Turn of Return.
And we celebrated and brought the ancestors home, and we walked through the Door of Return. I had a special made with the Door of Return words on it, and we had a ceremony. We poured libation, and we invited the ancestors to come through that door and come home. and we had over 100 people attend, and each person went through the arch and brought their ancestors home with them.
Right. Okay.
I'll be doing that for every estate.
Okay then. Listen, if people want to get in touch with you or contact you, is there email address? Because enough people know, like they have someone like you out there who's the head, someone they can trust. You know what I mean? It's good to know. So yeah. Is there like an email address or they can contact you?
I have an email address, and it's Nubian, NUBIAN, LC @AOL.co.uk. I'll repeat that. Nubian, NUBIAN, LC @AOL.co.uk.
Okay then. Well, my sister,
people can email me just for a chat. How do I move? What's it like living in Gambia?
Yeah.
How do I the West? Any advice, I'll try and help as much as I can.
And I'm really glad that, because one of the stumbling block is that, and we have to be fair, we have to be truthful, that sometimes you don't know who to trust. You know what I mean? Because you hear you go like for the Caribbean or Jamaica and them places, you go out there and say, yeah, you love it, and you want to build a yard and whatever, and you find that people rip you off, and it go rip time and time again. So it's good to know, so you have someone you can trust who's in your corner. See?
Yeah. Well, I let my clients speak for themselves. I don't advertise. I don't go looking. People often recommend me.
Okay then.
And I prefer that.
Okay, well, my sister, I want to give thanks again, because you are one of our shining stars, and nothing but love we have for you. Nothing but love we have for you. And I want to continue.
Thank you very much.
Every so often have a conversation with you, because you're the head out there, and we want to continue reasoning with you and so forth. See?
Thank you. Your support is really appreciated, because this is not easy.
No, I can imagine.
But it's got to be done.
Got to be done. Yeah,
it's got to be done.
Okay then.
Even though I'm feeling sad, even though I might get mad,
Yes, greetings and greetings out there. First, I want to give thanks and praise to the Most High. Give thanks for life. Give thanks for Bless Radio. Give thanks to all the freedom stations. Give thanks to SLR Radio, Station FM, Supreme Radio, all the freedom stations out there. So again, I want to big up to Bless Radio. I want to big up to the management every single time, who is a soldier, a leader, a head, see, who is the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, the conquering Lion of Judah. And that's what we're about. Bless Radio. See? So I really feel joy, full joy in my heart and in my spirit. So I want to give thanks to the Most High every single time. And if we reach the Kwanzaa, because everybody must celebrate the Kwanzaa celebration. But it don't done the same, because Kwanzaa is right through the year. For me, understand the principle, you just celebrate it. And that's how you reform your culture and unity, because it's about practicing it. It's always good about talking about it and get this big celebration, but if we practice on a daily basis, then we're talking about unity. See? So it's all about how we come together and unify. And there's some people, for every reason, they don't want no unity. In fact, they do something different. As we're talking right now, they're on a different agenda. You have a man probably inspired, or motivated to rob a next person. Hold on, not even rob next person. There's some people they're gonna say, well, church, see that man out there, we gotta kill him. And you have some people who just talking about unity, love, and trying to move forward. See? So it just shows you that as we're speaking now, You know, some people have a different agenda. So be aware. You know, as Malcolm X has said when he speaks, he says that greetings, family, friends, and enemy. And there are some enemies out there. See? Anyway, we do have a beautiful sister inside the house, and she'll be reason with us battling here and there because someone I know for a very long time. Someone I really do admire, you know. She knows I'm a secret admirer, you know what I mean? Don't want to give away too much on the radio, you know. So when I saw her for the first time, I said, "We okay, look so nice, so beautiful," you know. I don't want to kidnap her and thing, you know. But sure, people say, "What kind of man is that?" Hey, you're talking about kidnap, you know. You know, but anyway, confession, you know, confession coming out. See, but a beautiful queen, you know what I mean? And in fact, she has a book will be coming out very shortly, and it's basically talking about her journey, you know. And one of the things is being said is that your mess has become your message. See, right? Your mess has become your message, and all of us have a book to write. All of us have a journey, and sometimes, you know, people come to your life for a particular reason to teach you something about yourself. See, so this is a beautiful queen inside the house, and as I said, that she will be reasoning with us. You know, she have enough knowledge, you know. You know, that's why I'm sticking around with her as well. Because no, she's beautiful. She has whole heap of knowledge. You know what I mean? So, I mean, for qualified, because someone's written a book. You know what I mean? No, so she have enough things inside her head there. See? Yeah. So, that's that. And earlier on, they play a recording by a beautiful sister. And from time to time, we're going to link with her because, you know, she's in Gambia right now, and boy, she kind of frightened me because someone we know, you know, good. And it's funny, over the years when I met her, I've been seeing her, and you know, I know her through the health, I know she's the health big time, and I know her background is low, but it's really for the health. And she always say, "Oh, Dougie, I'm going to Gambia next week, or just come back." So I thought, okay, this woman freak at Gambia quite regular. But I haven't seen it for the last 3 years, right? And it happens that there's been a lot of politics, if you heard on the recording, what's happening in Gambia is your citizenship and all that stuff there. But she had diva on them something to know because she's dealing with the parliament out there. She's getting support by the local Gambian people there because they love her out there. And she had diva on them something because the answers are working right through her. See? But most of all, what she's doing, what really impressed me, they call her the builder. So I said, "Well, what can I call you? What do you mean builder?" She goes, "I'm the builder," right? Because people want to learn, you know, then come to her because it's really by word of mouth, right? If they want get some electricity done or plumbing or whatever, you know, she knows where to go because she's been there for a long time because she's got her stuff going on. And the reason why, because, you know, there's some people just constantly ripping our people left, right, and center, and she don't want people to go through them kind of thing there. See, so that's why they call her the builder, and that's why she's got so much respect and contact out there. See, okay then, I'm just gonna play something here, and as I said, we do have a beautiful sister inside the house.
End of news bulletins. Oh, the FTSE 100, the pound against the dollar, the pound against the euro dollar. Yeah, it doesn't do the pound or the dollar against the countries where these resources are drawn from. Yeah, so the countries where these resources are drawn from: Jamaica, St. Lucia, Barbados, Nigeria, Uganda, Sierra Leone, Congo, South Africa. We could go on and on and on. Yeah, they do not have successful stock markets. This is our legacy of slavery, where we find our race at the bottom of the pile, being utilised as the footstool for everybody else. And whenever they're having charity events like sports relief, like comedy relief, they roll out, yeah, the poor so-called African brother or sister, or the poor Nubian brother or sister who's dying of malnutrition, dying of AIDS. The reason why we're dying of malnutrition, the reason why we're dying of AIDS is because our resources are being stolen from us under our feet. Not only are they being stolen from us, as we can see, like I've just explained, through the slave trade, we can look at it from we look at things like sugar and spices, yeah, we can move on. We can look at it from we look at the brain drain, the movement of our people into the diaspora, the very elite of our people, i.e. the very best of our doctors, the very best of our soldiers, the very best of our engineers, the very best of our scientists, being now feeling that in order for them to make ends meet and to provide for their families, they now have to leave places like Jamaica, like Barbados, like Nigeria, like the Congo, like Sierra Leone, like Liberia, etc., and go to countries like France, like England, like Germany, like USA, yeah, in order to make ends meet. So the drain that has taken place on so-called third world countries of your Americas, of Africa, and of your Caribbeans, all right, is not just the drain of resources as in the material resources, it's also in the drain of the human resources. Yeah. So therefore, these countries have found it now very difficult to stabilize, yeah, their societies, to stabilize their communities, yeah, and to have flourishing economies and flourishing countries, yeah, where now we would have no need, yeah, to immigrate to the West, yeah, we would have no need, yeah, to, if you like, be constant.
Yes, also people listening, because that's my brother Wamatev giving some up-to-date information. This record took now about 2-3 years ago. See, and what I say about Dwamatev is a man is always constantly studying, researching, you know, and always bringing some serious information to the community.
Nigeria, of Fiji, of New Zealand, of Australia, etc., those indigenous peoples, they want us to fight in the illegal wars in Iraq, in Afghanistan, okay? But when election time comes around...
And it's quite interesting, look what's happening now, right? This is so many years ago, and look what's happening right now. See? It's amazing what's going on right now, you know? It really is amazing what's going on right now, you know. This tune is for our special guest. Cause I know she love these tunes, you know. I know she love all them tunes we might play. You know, let's hear it first. You know, it's funny. Sometimes people don't like my style of music, you know. And I do take them things personal still if you don't like my music, you know. Just try to reject it though. Alright, we're gonna play.
Give her that love.
This is my brethren, Michael. It's interesting how I met this brother Michael. I met him at his event. And we wasn't even reasoning. I knew he was, and I said, well, see a space here, man, sit down. But I didn't know he was ready to perform. Right? So I said, what you do, man? He said, yeah, he's a singer. So he performed, he came to the stage, he goes, boy, I like the way you look after me, dog. He didn't call me dog, he likes to look after. So we started talking, I wanted to mention my name. That was weird, you're Dougie. I said, yeah. I said, listen, man, I have to bow down to you. Right? And he gave me some CDs, make sure you get a couple of DJs them, make sure you play this. And I must admit, I do like his style. You like it, my sister?
Double standards be accepted by the women of today. So when you think you're fooling her, She just might be fooling you. Remember, if you can do it, she can too. A woman needs love just like you do. Don't kid yourself in thinking that she don't. 'Cause she can fool around just like you do. Unless you give her all the loving she wants. When her eyes are begging for affection, don't put her off, don't make her wait. No, don't try to give her that worn out excuse about being tired and working late. I tell you, one day you'll come home early from work, yeah. Open up the door and get your feelings hurt. 'Cause a woman needs love just like you do. A woman's got to have it, oh yeah, just like you. And if you're smart, you better stop fooling around, yeah, yeah. 'Cause she will too, yeah. Give her that love. Give her that sweet, sweet love. Give her that love. An example to you. By the time poor Jack returned up the hill, somebody else had been loving Jill because she needs it, just like you do. You gotta give her love, oh yeah. Give her some loving in the morning, give her some loving in the evening time. 'Cause she needs it, yeah. You do. Give her all the love she needs. Now, 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 now. Give her what she wants, what she wants.
Okay, we may have forgiven, but we cannot forget.
No, you're absolutely right. And also, you know, we have to be very mindful here because, you see, one of the things they do is that when we talk about slavery, one things they do.
We can't make a young person stop behaving a certain way, or an old person. How are we going to get the young people to stop behaving a certain way when we've got some old people still behaving in their ways, stuck in their ways? So I can't say there's going to be a video that transforms people's lives. I go and do talks in schools and colleges. One talk in a school and college, as much as a round of applause I may get, is not going to change someone's life. It's not consistent. It's not continuously in your face. So I don't know how that could make a change. So like I said, there's lots of things that are stopping these young people from growing because we don't have the consistency. The system wouldn't really fund to have certain people like myself, not just me, people like myself to go into the schools and be effective, like the Mark Princes of this world and a few other names, because we could actually create change. And what I learned in university was police need crime. So like I said, it's a bit bigger than people thinking the young people just need to stop this and it's a war. It's like you make it a war against the young people. There isn't a war against the young people because there is actually a different war.
Okay then, that was Chavez. I know he's got a book called Prisoners to the Street. He's a well-known, he's a young brother, very articulate, you know, been through a lot of stuff, and he's changed his life totally around. As I said again, your mess has become your message, you know, and that's a true statement that, you know, very true statement that, yeah, and that is all part of the journey, you know, and everybody's on a journey. Everybody, you know, life's a journey. You gotta look at life as a journey. I mean, I know Sister probably agree with me that, for example, you know, if you look at, take something like abusive relationships, for example, right? and someone be in an abusive relationship, and they leave that abusive relationship and go to another abusive relationship, right? So there's a pattern there, right? You can't, it's not about that person, it's something about you. What is it about you? You attract yourself to these kind of relationship, and the underlying factor, you look for some kind of love or whatever in a crazy way. But well and truly, that person is teaching you something about yourself, because people are just really mirrors. And what it is that, I mean, is lack of love of oneself. See? And that's what it comes down to. The bottom line factor will be that. The root of it will be that. See? So people really mirrors to teach something about yourself. See? And a sister would agree with me that sometimes there's some people just on a different kind of bus for every reason. You know what I mean? They're not quite there yet, you know? But you know, it's all part of life, it's all part of the journey, it's all part of the learning and so forth. And it's all about having that kind of positive energy. That's why it's very important, I say to people, that stay around with positive people. Someone asked me a question many years ago, right? Do I believe in Dracula? Right? Right? I do. There are some people are vampires.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Totally agree with that.
Yeah, vampires, you know what I mean? Don't judge them, just keep away from them. You know, and that's what it's about, creating that kind of vibration, you know, and moving around people who, like-minded people, think how you think, and getting that kind of vibration. Also, what's very important as well, you know, watch the energy, also the food you're eating. Yeah, very, very important. You know, don't stay around toxic people, because they are toxic, and you yourself can be damage your frequency as well. You know, so you have to be conscious and be aware. You know, and it's all about raising your chakras. You know, because you know most of us on this beast chakras, you know, lower chakras, so to speak. So, for example, a man might see a woman and yes, she look good and everything, but the first thing you say, well, boy, I want sex her off and all them kind of something there. See? Loss. It's that beastful loss, you know what I mean? I'm not trying to judge anybody, because, you know, I've been through them kind of mad, and I'm still trying to grow and develop myself. But it's all about vibration, raise to the higher chakra, to the crown chakra, you know? And that only can come when you're a man, positive people, listen to positive music, scene, listen to the positive CDs, and just raise up your vibration, you know. See, and that's what life's about. That's what it's about. See, because you know they have the beast. Cause I couldn't work when people talk with the beast, and then you know, and they're out there, you know, on the lower chakras and so forth. Just want, greed, you know, and things. So that's what's out there. Okay, we're expecting a call in about 15 minutes. We have Cassandra. Cassandra, this is from last year. Last time she spoke was about, if I'm not mistaken, from about September. She talked about the chemtrails, and she has got some insight knowledge, you know. I want people to make sure you take notes and hear what she has to say when she phones in. So she'll be phoning after about 8:15.
And forget about pride, because if somebody came to you and said one of two things, your child has been killed, it will crush you, part of you will be dead. Or your child has killed somebody, now you're not even going to get any sympathy, and everybody's going to look at you as the insect that produced them. So if you're not, forget about pride. Go take your baby, and whatever apologies you have to make, and however you have to make that up, make it up as a man. But for women who've tried it and they're not there, that means it's your role. And there's so many programs that engage young men. There's so many men and women that have worked hard in creating these programs that are consistent, that create that family environment. Because that's all we're seeking is family. We're a spiritual people. And when young men produce that family on the road, it's bestial. It's Lord of the Flies. If you read the book, you know what it entails. It's nothing spiritual, and it's nothing of a virtuous nature. So get in front of that, get ahead of it, because our young men are falling victim to that. And it's not about postcode wars, because we had the same thing when I was young. North Peckham and an area right round the corner, Aylesbury, couldn't be together in certain all-dayers. And we were always going to be at those all-dayers. And then you would have to worry about Junction Boys or Untouchables in Stonebridge, or this one from there, or this one from there. So it's always existed. It's not a new phenomenon. It's something cute to criminalise our boys by the media that we have no saying, that when they're ready, we're a total news blackout. Like when tens of thousands of us marched with a petition to Parliament for reparations. So don't take that for granted, that there's a new mayor and these people have been demonised for a number of years, and now you have a position to reframe the narrative. And the first thing that concerned me, the first operation, was Operation Knife Crime. And our faces were all over the front page of the Standard and the Metro. So be ahead of it, with our young men especially. Women learn from their mothers. Young women are watching you in what you're doing. So it's no secret as to why young men get lost. Young men need to see grown men as models. I read Malcolm X when I was 17. That was all I needed. That man was my stepfather. Now, with the apps and all of these 6-second things, you go tell your child to read that book and sit down and finish it. It's hard work. So they need people in front of them that they can see, that are tangible and practical men. You've got organisations like 100 Black Men. There are many organisations that you can search on the same social networks that we're engaging in all kind of foolishness. But they're your heart, and they should be our greatest investment. So invest in them and put practical...
I've got a minute or so to build my community. So let me just adjust my crown. When I'm talking about my crown, I'm not talking about the crown on my head. I'm talking about my community. That's our crown. So I'm saying Tottenham, Hackney, Wood Green, Stonebridge, Brixton. Let's link up. Let's build up this community. Let's come together as one. Yeah, we can do this. We've been talking about this for ages. Let's do it. Yeah? Let's change our mindset. Let's build our community in a way. Let's build banks. Let's build universities. Let's build schools. Let's build estates. Around where you're looking, all you can see is new builds. We ain't got no part in that, but we're saying that we own the ends. We don't own no ends. Let's build up our community. Let's take back what's ours. Let's capture the land. Let's walk on this captured land and capture this land. Because it's our land. We can do it. Anywhere that our foot trod, that's where we're going to possess. We're going to capture, we're going to take over. We can do this. If we come together, it's a mad thing. Trust me. I believe in you. You can do this. We've come too far for this, King.
Why does it take a young man, with all the resources that the government are talking about pouring into everything, how is it takes a young man to take it on his own back to go out and actually take knives and guns off the streets? I don't get it. The government say they're supposed to be funding this, they're looking for solutions. But one of the solutions to me is to actually go out there and take them off the streets. And for me, I don't see why a young man should have to take on that responsibility with all of these different organisations. So what is it that drives you to do that?
It's the right thing to do, innit? It's life, innit? And obviously it's like, it's not even the fast amnesty thing, innit? It's the thing, innit? Because it's the thing that's actively taking knives off the roadside, innit? And bruv, I know, and like the system knows, and not a lot of other people know, that it costs the system, innit? Like just talking, like just going beyond like death and people being heartbroken for the rest of their life, and or for losing a child or a family member, that it costs the system so much, like to even process a murder, innit? Like 1.7 million just to process a murder, Each murder. And I know for a fact, that anytime a police officer gets a knife or something, it's not like it's either been found or they've had to physically arrest them or have some crazy intelligence to ascertain, or search warrants and manpower, like to get the stuff that I'm taking off of the street, innit? And I've got a sense of trust and communication with the children where they're willingly bringing it to me, innit? So how can that be ignored?
See, that's
I'm finding it crazy right now.
That's what I find. You see, you said it exactly there. You got to trust. If they trust you and they don't trust anybody else, And so that's what's actually amazing, that they trust you. So this is something that works. You see, when the government are talking about solution, this actually works, is that you're going out there and you're effectively saving lives every single day. And I know you get flack for it. I know that people say to you, you know what I mean, why are you going out there doing this? But you've got your own reasons for doing it, and because you're passionate about life. And that's really clear to me, you know what I mean?
It's like, how can I say, man, like, if the whole world can't realise that the children are our future, then like, where do we stand as a race? Do you get me?
Said it.
Because where do you think our future athletes and our future doctors and our future nurses and politicians are coming from? Do you understand?
Where are they gonna come from?
But obviously it's a thing like, I don't know, when you're in a certain part of society, then I don't know, maybe the priority of care to them just ain't as great as it would be to other people. But do you know what? This is where I come from, so that's my priority, and that's my pride and my care. And it's just like, it's not even hard for me to do, man. Like, it's a natural thing. Do you get me, bro? Like, as I said, like, when I got stabbed, I've been stabbed 9 times on 2 different occasions.
Wow.
And
so what you're doing really,
like,
is to you.
It happened when I was defending people I loved. Do you understand?
Yeah.
And guess what? Like, if I have to put myself in front of that again,
you do it again.
Because that's my like that's what I'm here for. Like, I'm a protector to the people I love, innit? And the way I see it, I'm a big brother and I'm a father to a lot of these young kids in the community. And I just wish that when I was their age, if I had a better bit of guidance, then maybe, you know, like, I wouldn't have faced so much turmoil in growing up. Do you get me? But obviously, like, man just found a way to make negative into a positive driving force. Do you feel me? I swear down there ain't nothing that's gonna stop me from grinding in these roads to stop what's going on, yeah? And if it means I have to risk myself and my freedom out here on the roadside, then so be it, innit? Because in my heart, I know I'm doing the right thing. So blessed to you, man, and I'm gonna keep grinding. Every single message I get, I'm gonna respond to it. Every younger that needs help or they got something they don't want, I'm gonna respond to it. So if it makes me a bad person doing that, then so be it.
Yes, my name is the Right Honourable Anthony Bryan. Yes, I am a Tottenham dweller, see, and I dwell in Tottenham. For my days were in Tottenham, and many of my years were spent in Tottenham. Yeah, I know the roads, I've felt the hurts, I've done the wrongs, but now I'm doing good. Just like Moses, he was a Pharaoh's son before he was called by the Almighty One. So this is the time where we should be called and want to be called by righteousness. Because we see Tottenham has been invaded. Yet, it doesn't hurt if love is the binding strength. For to be civil is to get along, and to be nice is to be nice. But Tottenham has changed. One would say for the bad. But if one looks deep within, it would be for the better. For we see war and strife, we see poverty and hurt, we see damnation and drugs rife throughout out of Tottenham. But still, the little buds, they grow. The schools ring with the choirs of joy. Teach them in the way in which they should go. You know, guide them up. Let them know that they are peculiar. Let them know that there is better than just the capitalism, the food, the rent, the tax, the pain. You know, let them know that the Father has sent angels, you know, to receive them. So when they see a light, go to the light and eat from the cup of that light. For in that light there is life. Good words bring life, and bad words bring death. Come, let's lift up. Yes, my name is the Right Honourable Anthony Bryan. Yes, I am a Tottenham dweller, see, and I dwell in Tottenham. For my days were in Tottenham, and many of my years were spent in Tottenham. Yeah, I know the roads, I've felt the hurts, I've done the wrongs, but now I'm doing good. Just like Moses, he was a Pharaoh's son before he was called by the Almighty One. So this is the time where we should be called and want to be called by righteousness. Because we see Tottenham has been invaded. Yet, it doesn't hurt if love is the binding strength. For to be civil is to get along, and to be nice is to be nice. But Tottenham has changed. One would say for the bad. But if one looks deep within, it would be for the better. For we see war and strife, we see poverty and hurt, we see damnation and drugs rife throughout out of Tottenham, but still the little buds, they grow. The schools ring with the choirs of joy. Teach them in the way in which they should go. You know, guide them up. Let them know that they are peculiar. Let them know that there is better than just the capitalism, the food, the rent, the tax, the pain. You know, let them know that the Father has sent angels. You know?
Hi, it's Cassandra here.
Cassandra, how you been?
I'm doing well. I'm doing great. Thank you. How are you?
Not too bad. Well, not too bad. Give thanks because, funny enough, I was talking about you to the listeners, and I was talking to my friend about you.
All right, okay.
Because I said that we haven't spoken for a little while. I think the last time was about September, October, if I'm not mistaken.
Could be, yes. It's certainly a couple of months.
Yeah,
certainly 2 or 3 months, yeah.
Yeah. And we kind of starve for your knowledge, you know, because your knowledge is so in depth, you know what I mean? And where you broke down everything about the chemtrails is just amazing. So, you know, we're starved for your knowledge, your insight. But I just want people to know that on the line we do have Cassandra, as you know that she does a lot of work around the chemtrails. She at Hyde Park at least once a month.
We skip winter because it's a bit cold.
It's a bit cold. Okay then. All right then. Fine enough. I haven't been there since the summertime. So
no, we might go back early. If it's okay, end of Feb, we might be back end of Feb. But end of March, we should definitely be there.
Okay then. So I understand that. And just want people to know that, you know, she's a campaigner. Because as you know that, and the funny thing is that still a lot of people are not really aware don't know what chemtrails is, are not aware, you know. It's like I don't know, it's like, well, to be honest with you, I was one of those person about 10-12 years ago, wasn't aware till someone pointed this thing out to me, and something you could see physically in the sky, you know. So it's not something mystical or whatever. It's something you can look up. What you do, you put your head up, look in the sky, and they're spraying these chemtrails. And I said to myself, wow, right in front of us, you know. So, well, Cassandra, it'd be wise, you know, because like we haven't heard from you for a little while, and people might be listening to you right now, is just give us a little brief background about yourself and the kind of work you do, and then I want to ask some questions as well. Concerned about the chemtrails. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I was like yourself many years ago, about 7 years ago, I think. Yeah, about 7 years ago. I hadn't heard of chemtrails either. And I'd taken the way it started was I took some photographs and posted them on Facebook of a walk that I do quite often down on the south coast, actually. And the sky was gridded with lines, but I didn't see it. And it took a Facebook friend in America to point out that those were chemtrails. And I said, no, they're contrails. And he said, no, they're chemtrails. Now, a few weeks leading up to this point, I'd actually been watching videos on his own account and watching the horrific spraying in the air from planes in America. And I'm thinking, right, okay, well, maybe that happens over there and it doesn't happen here. I hadn't joined any dots. Penny hadn't dropped. That it was, you know, more global than I realised. And after that, I literally went from 0 to 200 miles an hour in the matter of a week. 2 weeks later, within 2 weeks, I'd already attended a talk in Winchester, which is where I live, by a guy called Professor Alan Long, I think he was called. What the hell was his name? John Shepherd. No, I think he was John Shepherd. That was his name. And giving a talk about chemtrails, the fiction, the conspiracy theories that are being put about chemtrails. And by then, I'd already hooked up with a few people in the know, and we were spread around the audience. So we were sat in one huddle. And we asked a few pointed questions at the end of his talk. He was proposing, because of this thing called global warming, he was proposing to spray the world with chemical particulates which would block the sun and therefore reduce the Earth's temperature. This was the idea. And one of our crowd said, well, aren't they doing this already? Quite boldly, and he said no. He said no, we're not doing it. Any lines you see in the sky are contrails, you know. And he said that it is merely, and I quote, the idea to spray the world with chemicals is merely purple ink on the backs of certain envelopes. This guy basically lied through his teeth throughout the whole lecture, denied that it was being done. There were a couple of questions from the floor. But when one of us asked another awkward question, it was, we've got to call a break now. We've got to have a coffee break and blah, blah, blah. Basically, they didn't want any awkward questions. But in the interval, previous to this, I'd been to a demonstration in London to 10 Downing Street and hooked up with quite a few people who, in turn, attended this event. And in the interval, we unfurled banners and told the people, the audience that were milling around having tea and coffee and stuff, this is what's really happening. That guy there basically has been telling you lies. But the whole event was organised by WINAC, which is Winchester Action for Climate Change, against climate change.
Okay.
And the most belligerent mob of people I have never come across. They pounced on us, they were argumentative, they were swearing at us. They didn't want their little boat rocked in any way with the truth, which I'm sure they know. And one guy was more or less spitting in my face. I had to call someone to help me because he was absolutely furious that we could talk about these chemtrails. So anyway, that was really how it happened. I met people, got connected, and then on Facebook, because it's now very heavily censored, but it wasn't quite so censored 7 years ago, and I started producing a lot of videos, explaining to people how it happens, how the chemicals are sprayed in the sky. And if you actually look very carefully, you can see it's like the finest mist. It is nanoparticulates. These are very, very, very small. They're nano.
Yeah.
They actually can pass through the blood-brain barrier and get into your brain. And we're talking particulates of aluminium, particular. Aluminium oxide is causing memory loss and dementia and Alzheimer's in not necessarily the aging population, because even my kids are losing their memory. They can't remember simple things. It's affecting everybody. So you can see this fine mist in the sky, and I'm out every day, as you know, and I can observe the sky on a minute-by-minute basis. So after 2 or 3 hours, when they have a very heavy spraying day, you can see all this mush merges together, and you get what's called the blanket.
Right.
I call it the blanket, and it's a complete whiteout.
Yeah. I just want to see if I can jump in there, Cassandra. Because what comes to my mind now, I think we kind of talked about this last time, and one thing I said to myself, what's the purpose of doing this, right? And one of the things you were saying, or please correct me if I've misrep information, because it was a little while ago, that is this about what? Controlling the world?
It's a multifaceted agenda. It is absolutely multifaceted. It's changing, the chemicals are changing the pH balance of the soil, so crops won't grow.
Okay.
Monsanto have already, this is years ago now, patented aluminium, drought-resistant and flood-resistant seeds, and seeds that will grow in these new toxic soils. There will come a point when organic isn't organic anymore.
Ain't organic no more, yeah.
Well, you know, people try and grow organically, but this haze, it doesn't sort of stop at an organic field. It will drift across it. So, you know, how organic is organic? And that, of course, is affecting our health. It's the big one is the control of the weather.
Right.
They need the metal particulates in the atmosphere to control the weather. And, of course, we have a very, very, very serious situation going on in Australia right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I was I watched a video online only 2 nights ago. I don't know if I'll be able to find it now. I'm actually online at the moment. But it was a very informative video. Basically, the whole thing's been set up. And there was a particular image of the rains that are being held off the coast to keep the bloody country bone dry. And there's what's called a Doppler radar station, which is just on the coast there. And when you look at this image, it's the rain, this huge bank of rain is in a semicircle, in a perfect circle around, not on the left side because that's where the land is, but where the sea is. It's in a perfect semicircle, but being held there, not being allowed to come across the land and perhaps drench some of these forest fires. Now then, interestingly, I took a screenshot of this picture, right? And I then cropped it and sent it to a friend of mine who's in Australia, an awake friend who's in Australia. And I was messaging him for a while, and then I decided to message, this is at 2 o'clock in the morning, which is what I do with my life, decided to message another lady who I know in Australia, and I said, you'll never guess what, you want to look at this picture. So I put it on Messenger, you can just click image and download it, it's very simple. It wouldn't download. And it was, this image is not able to be downloaded or some such words from Google or whoever runs bloody Messenger. Well, it will be Google, won't it? So I thought, that's a bit strange. So I went back to my other friend and I said, hang on a minute, I'm going to try and repost this picture. Exactly the same picture. And it wouldn't. Same message came up and I thought, they're playing games here. Already they must know because they know everything about what we're doing, what we're saying, everything. So I then went back to my other friend and said, hey, I bet if I put a picture of a cat up, it'll be fine. So I went through my downloads, got a picture of a cat and a mouse, put that up, no problem. Went back to my other friend and said, hey, I'm trying cat and mouse now. Exactly the same method, put the picture up, no problem. They don't want us to know what's going on. This is why so many people don't know what's happening. You know, it's not in the media. They're not telling you. But meanwhile, they are peddling the biggest lie of all, which is global bloody warming.
Well, you see,
we've got an ice age coming, not bloody global warming. And every time the temperature goes up, this is global warming. Look, we've got the hottest temperatures on record ever.
But, son, let me jump in because, I mean, this is quite interesting because I think I might have shared this with you last time, and I think I mentioned it. Bear in mind, we got Mrs. P's inside the house, so she might want to ask you some questions because she's quite interested in this kind of area. But this is quite interesting, and people listening, I might feel so. What kind of nonsense Dougie's talking about and chemtrails in the sky? All you have to do, go in the sky, look up, right, and you see some sprays. You see the plane, you see them spraying. You know, I'm not saying it, just look up in the sky and you'll see yourself. But anyway, Cassandra, I just want to say this, that a few years ago, right, many years ago, right, when I had very little sense, right, I was looking in the newspaper, and it was about Paul McCartney was doing he was singing at some event somewhere out of London somewhere, I can't remember where, right? But what it was, on that day there, right, it was going to rain, right?
Oh, right, yeah.
And what they done, right, they went in the sky, flying in the sky there, and sprayed the clouds or whatever, right? So it wouldn't.
It's silver iodide, probably. I think it's what they use, silver iodide.
So it wouldn't rain. So I said to myself, I couldn't believe it. You know, I mean, something it was in the paper, and then after a few years, I forget to realize that That's what they do now, messing around with the with the weather, you know. So I mean, you know, yeah, it's amazing.
Well, the way I sum it up, I actually wrote a poem about this called Global. But this myth that's been peddled about global warming, Al Gore actually produced a video called An Inconvenient Truth, which I actually bought at the time because I was in ignorance. I now call it a most convenient lie, because they can create extremes of weather, and I mean any weather you care to name: hurricanes, typhoons, tornadoes, earthquakes, droughts, floods, you name it, they can do it.
That's right.
And I've even had a word with those guys that study earthquakes, and they said they can't do this. Well, they can, because they can trigger high power energy into areas where there's a fault line, say, and trigger earthquakes that way. They know where the fault lines are and where there are naturally occurring earthquakes and things like that. So they can then say, well, earthquakes happen in Italy, so it was just an earthquake in Italy. We get typhoons and tornadoes in America, so they can just, it happens, you see. But they can exacerbate a weather situation and create a weather situation, such as the floods we had in the UK in 2014, which I'm sure most people will not forget, and the flooding we had relatively recently in the UK as well. We've had an awful lot of rain.
Yes.
All engineered. And the thing is, then they can say, aha, it's global warming. And the biggest lie of all is the one they're saying, we've got too much CO2. That is the biggest load of baloney. It's blockable. CO2, we need CO2. In fact, we're in a CO2 depletion at the moment.
Okay.
Plants need CO2. They take the CO2 and give us the oxygen. We need more plants. More plants take in the CO2. So they're peddling this myth. If people actually went back to their books from school, they'll learn that it's quite okay. We have not got too much CO2 in the atmosphere. We've got too little. But the people are just swallowing it. Oh, too much CO2. Oh, we've got global warming. Oh, look at these terrible things happening in the world. So, of course, it's being reinforced and reinforced and reinforced. The biggest thing you hear people talking about is climate change.
Climate change. Okay.
And it has all been engineered.
Okay. Cassandra,
I just want to ask you something, Cassandra. Hi. We talk about we talk about like CERN and HARP. They control the weather and everything, yeah?
Yeah.
And you're saying like it's going to be like Ice Age, yeah.
There is a mini ice age on its way, apparently, yes. I've got a friend of mine who's kind of in the know on this sort of thing and sends me umpteen videos with it. There's a lot of scientists talking about it. The thing is, the geoengineering, as far as I know, what they're doing, with all this spraying and stuff, does actually increase the global temperature. So it's kind of, one way it's being brought down and another way it's being brought up. So I'm quite not sure what's going on, but we're certainly not heading for escalating temperatures. If the world had been left to itself without all this spraying, we're not heading for, roasting summers. So not at all.
Isn't the sun getting hotter?
I'm not sure what the sun's doing, to be honest. Don't ask me about the sun. I wouldn't like to say. I don't know anything about sunspots and solar flares and things like that, so I wouldn't like to say.
The gamma rays increasing as well, isn't it? And they're blocking out the sun more so because the sun seems to be increasing, and the gamma rays, which is coming in the next few days, is going to be an actually influx of gamma rays, and which is coming from the sun, and they seem to be blocking that out.
Yeah, well, that wouldn't surprise me. I mean, another thing that has been said is forest fires that we had in America earlier this year, I think it was, last year now, and the forest fires that are happening in Australia, the temperature is unprecedented. It's off the Richter scale because of the nanoparticulates in the air.
Yeah.
You've got an air that's filled with metal.
I actually agree with you, but what about like what's the
her name?
No. Okay, sorry, I jumped in there too early actually.
Good.
They're directed energy weapons. Isn't that part of
Yes, that's used as well. It's also targeting people and friends of mine.
Because I noticed that like the houses are burning, the cars are like melting, but the trees are not burning, only from the inside. So that heat's coming from
they're doing all sorts of crazy stuff. Yeah. It's a military thing. It's not supposed to be used on the populace, but you know they get away with anything. These people.
Yeah.
They have very powerful tools now that they can use to create anything. We've had a very mild winter at the moment, I have to admit. It's very mild. I mean, I haven't even got the heating on here. But we've had an awful lot of rain, the rain that perhaps should have been meant for Australia. You know, I mean, you know, there's only so much goes round, so they can take it from one area and dump it in another, you know.
But when I could just jump in here, in terms of, because you mentioned about the chemtrails and talking about affects the human body, Alzheimer's and, you know, dementia, and one of the things I observe that I find that not so much older people, but even people in the late 60s, you know, quite young still, are losing their memory and dementia and so forth, you know. And you know, affecting their whole well-being and mental health and all that stuff. They totally, you know, and so forth. And again, and people not aware, it's tribute to the chemtrails, you know.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
There are direct links, correlation links between aluminium and dementia, and Alzheimer's has been for a long time. I think years ago they said you mustn't cook with aluminium saucepans or something.
Yeah, said that,
but they're doing all this research. This is what really annoys me. You've got so many people who are running for good causes, running for dementia research, when the answer is literally being rained on our heads every day.
Oh, Cassandra, say that again. That's very important you say that again. You know?
Well, there are a lot of people running for very good causes, like cancer research. It's business, by the way. It's big business. It's not cancer research. They're making money out of this. They're making money off the backs of people suffering. But cancer research, dementia research, Alzheimer's research they're taking money off people. You know, people give willingly, but they don't realise that the answer is raining down upon them. The answer is in the sky. You know, I used to read Asterix books many years ago. They were produced in France. And this little band of Normans, this sort of Norman tribe that lived in Normandy, their biggest fear was that the sky would fall down upon their heads. They were always peur que le ciel tombe sur la tête. They were terrified that this would happen. And, you know, I posted something on Facebook a few years ago. I thought, the sky, it is something to be terrified of. The sky is falling upon our heads. It is. Maybe I can't remember, Goscinny, I think, who wrote the book, was telling us something. But a lot of the songs, you know, from the 70s and the 60s, Bye Bye Mr. Blue Sky and all that sort of thing, did the pop stars and singers, were they aware that this spraying and this blocking of our sun and lack of blue skies was ongoing then? Was this something they knew and they were trying to tell us through their lyrics? I don't know. I think there were a lot of very clued up people. People like Michael Jackson, people like Prince, and the thing is, they kind of disappeared in rather unusual circumstances.
Yes. Well, you know something, it's quite interesting. Boy, I tell you, Cassandra, this is like fresh air, you know, breath of fresh air, because when Michael Jackson done a tune, was it was a video where he's trying to save the planet, talking about the planet. Huh?
We Are the World?
No, not We Are the World, another tune. Oh God, I can't remember the tune, right? But it's quite interesting how he become very much conscious and aware what's going on socially, right? And then after about 2 years, he was taken out.
Yeah.
See? And probably something like Prince. And, you know, there's quite a few people out there who's socially aware, consciously, and, you know, they're trying to get the message out there. They disappear, you know? So, you know, people might say, well, boy, what's this guy talking about now? conspiracy theory. We're not talking about conspiracy theory. We're talking about facts. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolute facts.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And if you don't believe me, check it out yourself. That's what you have to do.
Don't go on Google. Well, Google is controlled. Google is, secret police, if you like. Google is Big Brother, watching every single move. This is another another issue, and this whole sort of trying to debilitate the population, trying to get the population hooked on drugs, which make you ill. Drugs. I can't remember the last time I actually had a pharmaceutical drug. I don't have one in the house. I don't have headaches. I don't get pain. I don't get anything. And I don't have any drugs. And they have so many side effects. And something that people must realize, if they're on prescription drugs, it actually depletes the body of magnesium.
It does.
It just does.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of people magnesium depleted. Now, if you're magnesium depleted, there's a chance your blood pressure will go up. So what do? You trot along to your doctor, says, oh, your blood pressure's gone up, and then puts you on a load of drugs.
Yeah.
And also the chemicals, the barium and things in the chemtrails are also interacting within our bodies and causing lots and lots of problems. Things like fibromyalgia. You can almost say there's a direct link to chemtrails, to people with fibromyalgia. There's a lot of people now with severe chest problems and coughs and flu and all sorts going on. People have been ringing up recently. They've all been coming down with all sorts of things, particularly respiratory problems and coughs. But on that note, people might say, well, how come I miss out on all this? I have a very, very, very heavy daily detox program, extremely heavy. It takes me like 15 minutes to get a load of stuff down me before I even eat my breakfast. One of the most important things we should have is iodine.
I've heard of iodine, yeah.
Oxidine. It's 3 drops on your tongue, but it's difficult from the dropper to work it out. So actually put it on a spoon, and then some water, and then drink more water. Iodine, very important. Zeolite, extremely expensive, but absolutely crucial. It's a mineral. It's mined somehow. Don't ask me where it comes from, but this stuff gets rid of all heavy metals. Now, there's 2 sorts of zeolite. You can buy a cheaper form, which just works on digestive level and will clear heavy metals from your gut, which is important. But there's a more expensive one that actually clears heavy metals from your cells. And that is what you need to do. We have mercury probably from eating fish. We're not talking about just what's in the sky. We're surrounded by heavy metals in our environment, through our furnishings. We're taking these on board every day. So we need to get rid of them. I also take chlorella tablets. I don't like the powder. It makes me heave. Chlorella tablets, something called diatomaceous earth, and borax. Those are the main heavy metal detox things that I take. I can't afford to take zeolite every day. It's very expensive. It's about £65 a bottle, plus postage. It comes from America.
Okay.
So I have it every other day, and I take the other things. But to vitamin D, we're depleted because of the sun. Vitamin D is crucial. Again, liquid form is better. Magnesium, take that as an oil and rub it into your skin. It's absorbed transdermally much better. And there's a whole load of other things I have. I have Floridix for my iron levels. And because cancer is now, I could mention 5G, but maybe I won't. But cancer is going to go up. Right. And one of the best things against cancer is bitter foods. Yeah. So I now eat cola nuts. It was a guy at Speaker's Corner recommended these. They're little nuts. They're very plentiful on these sort of ethnic shops that they have in London, but I had to order mine online. They're little brown nuts. The skin sort of paper thin, peels off. They are extremely bitter. But you have to chew and chew and chew and chew. Just keep chewing it. Half a nut is probably more than most people take. It leaves a bitter aftertaste. But
what was it called? Was it called bitter? Sorry, was it called bitter nuts? Was it called?
It's called cola nut. K-O-L-A.
Cola
nut.
Okay then.
And it's not expensive. You can buy a little bag of a dozen nuts for very little. But an alkaline diet, bitter foods, and something that's the top of the list for anti-cancer is not just broccoli, but sprouting broccoli seeds. So you buy the seeds and sprout them and eat the sprouts. And they're right at the top of the list. So I had those only the other day. I've always got stuff on to sprout, mung beans, chickpeas, all that sort of stuff. A sprouted food is extremely nutrient dense. Once it started growing, just the little roots start appearing, that's the time to eat it. Well, when they're not immediate when they started growing, when they've been growing for a couple of days. And then I put my jar in the fridge, give it a good rinse and put it in the fridge, and I normally eat them over the next day or so. But there are so many things. I mean, I could talk for 5 hours on health, but things to keep you healthy, and don't ever have the flu jab, whatever you do. That's my biggest advice. Don't have the flu jab, whatever you do.
No.
You know, so I keep healthy, and as you know, I walk miles. I've probably walked about 18 miles today. I only got in half an hour ago. Very long day, very hilly, and all the rest of it. What's new? So exercise, very important. And I think with all this stuff that's going on, I could talk about 5G, which is not a conspiracy theory, because people know about 5G. This is another part of the master plan to weaken the populace, to make them ill. Because believe you me, 5G can be ramped up they've got it set up on the lampposts. They had all these bloody LED lampposts put out a few years ago. The rollout program of lampposts, you can use it now to target you with 5G. And I have a friend of mine who lives in London, and he lives in he calls it a New World Order house. Big windows, massive windows, surveillance, a smart meter. And when 5G rolled out in London, he put very thick silver foil up some of his windows to try and block this coming into his home. Do you know, they were peppered with tiny pinprick holes. The sheets, I took photographs, it's unbelievable. He did not go around with a pin pricking these bloody sheets. Of course, he wouldn't do that. That is what 5G is doing to the silver foil on the inside of a window. What the hell is it doing to us?
Absolutely. And the nanobots, do they have like tracking devices in them?
Nanobots. Well, we take them in through the chemtrails as well, as you probably know.
Yeah, right. Okay. And what about
there's something called smart dust.
Right. Yeah. It's sort of like tracking devices. Like, yeah.
Oh yeah.
And like one
tracked in every which way possible.
Mongello's disease we suffer with, which they try and term it as Lyme's disease. Do you know anything?
Well, Morgellons is the big one.
Yeah.
Morgellons. That was. I met someone who, again at Speaker's Corner, who had Morgellons. It was absolutely horrific. The itching, he said, is so intense. And he sent the samples. Morgellons, explaining to people who might be listening, they are fibers. They're very, very. They're like nanofibers that are actually in the chemtrails that are sprayed. Not all the time, but maybe some of the time. I don't know. But they can get into our bodies and they self-replicate inside. Right, yeah. And for some people, maybe we've all got them. I don't know. But some people, they start coming out through their skin, and they see these coloured. They're multicolored, sort of finer than a hair, coming through their skin, intense itching and wheals. Now, when this first started, was reported, people were told they were going mad and, you know, given antipsychotic drugs. Now, this gentleman I met in London, he's a lovely, lovely man. He had a top-class job. I won't tell you what his job is because then you might know who he is, but he had a very well-paid job. He went to his doctors. He was put away in a psychiatric institution and put on antipsychotic drugs. And when his work sort of got in touch and said, well, what's wrong with you? He couldn't actually tell them because then they'd think he was mad. But he told me the whole story and how he's now in remission, seeking sort of spiritual healers and things to help him. As a result of it, he developed Tourette's, which really is very, very difficult for him to live with. He'll suddenly swear, come out with expletives when he's sitting on the tube or something. We took him for dinner. He's a lovely, lovely man. He said it is just insane. If you try and shave these fibers, they grow more. The more you try And apparently, in this book I've got, which is a very, very good book by Eleanor Freeland, called Chemtrails, HAARP and the Full Spectrum Dominance of Planet Earth, apparently, if you look under a microscope, when you approach them with, say, a razor or something, they know that they are going to be destroyed or cut, and they move, they bend to one side.
Yes, I've actually seen it, yeah.
I mean, what the fuck? I mean, I shouldn't swear, but, you know, I mean, what? It's like something from science fiction.
Yeah.
You know. So, but more and more people are getting Morgellons now, so maybe they're not all going to be locked away in a psychiatric institution. I believe Joni Mitchell, the famous sort of folk singer, she contracted Morgellons, and she also has Alzheimer's, I believe.
Okay.
I'm not really au fait. That was a year or so back. I assume she's still alive. I don't know, but she did. Yeah.
Okay then. So tell me something. What is the I was going to say where the future holds for you, because you just keep going. You're like the Terminator, but the woman version of Terminator. You know.
I keep going. Yeah. On very little sleep at the moment, because when I'm online, I have this lady friend who might be listening in tonight, actually, who sends me lots of videos. She's very up on solar activity and solar flares and that side of things and how it's affecting our weather. And she sends some very interesting videos. They're generally an hour long. So I sometimes watch 5 or 10 minutes, but the one she sent me recently was only half an hour, so I did watch it.
Okay.
But there are a lot of people that send me information, and I also browse myself. A lot of videos are taken down, and this is another warning. If anybody is investigating something and they come across a very good video that tells it like it is, download it and save it onto, you can go onto a YouTube converter thing, change it to, well, you can do MP3. MP4 is a video version. MP3 gives you the audio only. Yeah. MP4, save it, and then move it to an external hard drive. So because YouTube is taking videos down. It took down one of my videos because they objected to the title. My title was, what the hell was it? It was Silent, Secret and Sinister, the Third World War, Silent, Secret and Sinister. They didn't like the fact I mentioned the Third World War.
Okay then. All right then. Well, Cassandra, I don't want to use up too much of your time, because I know you're not too long just coming, and you probably just want to get a breather now.
I haven't eaten yet.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You haven't even eaten yet, you know what I mean? So how's your family? How's your son? I think I've met your son.
Oh, yes, my son, well, my son that's in Canada, he's very well. They're all very well, but unfortunately, 3 of my children are asleep. They think I'm absolutely crazy. I go to Newcastle, which is where they live, and I take bottles of water with me. They do sell water up there, but normally I arrive quite late at night. I don't want to be, can we find a shop that's open so I can buy my water?
Okay, then.
Fluoridated water does so much damage to you. And they've been brought up on this bloody fluoridated water. You can't really get it out. I think filtering water doesn't necessarily move fluoride, but Newcastle is one of the areas where they fluoridate the water, supposedly for dental cavities, but that's another load of baloney. It's to do with the dumbing down of a population, to make them subservient, to make them lap everything up they're fed. So as the years roll by, they are more and more wrapped up in what they're being fed by the media and the papers, and I'm completely out on a limb, and it doesn't matter what I say, I'm basically told to shut up in the nicest possible way. Hopefully they'll wake up. My son in Canada, he's more awake than most, but he has panic attacks and anxiety attacks and things like that. He won't be listening to this, and he says, Mum, I've got enough coping with my own mental stuff without piling this on me. He's very aware and very supportive of me, which is nice.
Okay, then. Is that the one I saw? Which the one I saw then? Dan Hyde Park?
You wouldn't have seen any of my kids.
No, you was with somebody. No, you're right. It wasn't your kids. You was with somebody though. A young.
Well, there was Might have been a young guy called Ben who did come up.
I think it was
Speaker's
Ben.
Corner.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a teenager, and he was with me
I
that
just
day,
thought it was
I
your
think,
son for some reason. Yeah. He
Oh,
was.
people do say we're related. He's a good friend of mine, actually. But yeah, he's one of the few young people that actually know what's going on, and it's lovely that if the young people can understand. But another thing I've learned about Speaker's Corner, I'm sorry to talk forever, but there are a lot of people that know what's going on. They're not banging a drum, they're not, but Facebook has been actually an incredible way to spread the word very quickly through videos and through people talking to each other. There's a lot of people are very aware of what's going on now. We're not tired. There's even a policeman down there, lovely, lovely guy, who's with us. He's always been with us, and he doesn't mind if the banner's stand. He said to us, if you're still coming down here in 2 years' time, when I retire, I'm coming to join you.
Okay.
So one of the policemen's coming to join us. So there are even awake policemen. But, people are awake and aware, especially now 5G is rolling out. I think they realise that something is not right.
Do you know my friend, I don't know if I mentioned it to you, Dave Murphy?
Dave Murphy?
Yeah.
No, Dave Murphy? I don't know Dave. Who's Dave Murphy?
Dave
Sorry.
Murphy. He's usually down there. He does thing with the flat Earth.
Oh God, we're not flat earthers, no.
No, not flat Earth. But I'm just telling you that he's part of the flat Earth, and also he does a lot of stuff around.
Chemtrails and stuff, probably. Yeah, I will have met him.
Yeah.
The thing is, they're very clued up about everything. But the flat Earth, I'm not buying that. I'm sorry.
Okay.
No way.
Okay. No, I just thought if you know him,
Probably do. As I say, sometimes they get down there when we're there, and
well, when I went down there, that's how I went down there to see Dave about something else. So that's how I bump into you, really.
Oh, right. Okay. Right.
Yeah. That's how I bump into you.
He's a family man. He's got children, and he's a nice guy, actually. I just don't agree on flat Earth. It probably the fellow that I probably have met him.
You probably see him, yeah. Okay, no problem. Okay, then you want to send him up final questions?
Yeah, I want to know when she's going to be in Hyde Park again. Really.
Go,
Cassandra, when are you going to be at Hyde Park again?
Right. Well, I would say we meet at the last Sunday of the month. So hang on a minute. I'm actually in front of my laptop now, so I'll be able to tell you. There's less of us now than ever before, unfortunately. One of my friends isn't very well, so he can't be with us. He's attending to his health. I've got March up. The last Sunday in March is the 29th. We should be there then. I think the clocks go, spring forward. The clocks go forward. So it'll be lighter of an evening. Yeah, 29th of March we'll be there.
At what time? What time do you normally there?
Well, because of the rail fares and that you only get cheap travel after 11 o'clock, I don't normally get there till about 1:15. Okay. So 1:15, I walk up from Victoria, and we put banners on the railings. So you head for Speaker's Corner. If there's no one there, just hang around. We'll turn up. We have banners and placards, and we're very peace-loving. There's a lot of trouble down there now with the religious mob, as I call them, and
because I think when I was there, I ain't been there for years, and I went to see my friend Dave, and I understand when I left after I spoke to you, cause I only went there to see Dave, and I spoke to you. We had a good conversation. Then I understand when I left now. My friend said there was trouble down there. I said, I didn't see no trouble. But he showed me the picture, and I said, oh, God. And it's a good thing I left, because obviously I don't want to get involved with all that kind of stuff there.
There's quite a lot of... It's a bit more aggressive down there.
Yeah.
It's, our God's better than your God. This is basically what it's about, and it's just ridiculous. But the thing is, people have got their phones up videoing it, and there's like a whole wave. When there's trouble, there's a whole wave of people move with the people that are aggressive, and then... The police actually are now a permanent presence down there. They normally sit in their van just making sure everything's okay. But they're quite happy with us now. They don't mind us because they know we're not going to do anything. We're not going to heckle anyone. Occasionally I might talk, but mostly we're just there. We just have a presence. People look at our banner and come up and talk to us, and we just give out flyers. But more often than not, we get people coming up to us telling us what they know, and we have some really interesting conversations, some very clued up people. They sometimes give you a different slant on things, a different slant on things. But we're thinking possibly of moving to focus on 5G, because that's something that people are aware of. And it is nothing to do with it does improve your download speeds, and it probably means you can sit inside a castle with the thickest walls and be able to make a phone call, but what price your health, because this can penetrate the skin to a much deeper level, and it's going to give rise to all sorts of weird diseases and things, and people will be going to their doctors with this, that, and the blinking other, and the doctors will be scratching their heads thinking, oh God, what's this, and giving them all these drugs. And of course, once people are on drugs, then it's a downward spiral.
Downward spiral, absolutely.
It's causing a lot of depression. I know you've spoken about this on the radio show before, but depression is prevalent. It's a big problem. Depression, suicide in the black community is sky high.
No, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I've been doing a lot of work around mental health and depression, mostly around. We find that especially with men, they suffer from, and they don't really talk. So we've been talking about that. It's really about spreading awareness and get people to really talk. And it's quite interesting how what you mentioned there, and you could trace it back to the we said the 5G. Is it 5G? Yeah.
5G, fifth generation,
And the frequencies and so forth. And it's quite interesting, because I think next time when we do speak again, in a couple of weeks, I want to focus around that, definitely.
Well, I'm not, it's like a lot of things. People ask me how HARP works, and actually, I have, in this book, it actually has written out that the patent for HARP, and there was a guy at Speaker's Corner who said, well, if you don't know how HARP works, and how they operate these things, how can you talk about it with such authority? And my argument is, I don't know how electricity works either. All I know is if I put a plug in the wall and push the switch, my light comes on. Do I need to know exactly about electricity and wiring to know that it happens? So I know HARP can be used. It's an ionospheric heater, and they can target it to specific points in the world to trigger earthquakes or tsunami. The exact workings of it, I don't know, but that doesn't mean to say it's not happening. The research is there for those that actually want the research. But, again, when it comes to 5G, I'm not exactly sure how it works. All I know is it's harmful to health, and if my friend's silver foil is anything to go about, that it is peppered. His foil is peppered with these tiny little pinprick holes. And, he's actually painted his hall. He can't really move because he's got relatives and friends in London. He's decided to fortify his castle. But he's painted his hall with this very thick, dark paint, which actually blocks out radiation. And, then he's going to paint it white on top, back white again. But there are things you can do to cut down the amount of radiation coming through your home, and things to put on windows. There's mylar film or mylar film or something you can put on windows. But a lot of it's very expensive. I think, and there's also pendants and things you can buy now that supposedly protect your body from 5G.
There is. In fact, I've got something on now called oh God, I forget what it's called, but I've got this thing protect you from radiation and etc. I
mean, the thing is, we're exposed, through mobile phones, through Wi-Fi. We're being bombarded every which way, and Wi-Fi is everywhere. Wi-Fi is on the bus, Wi-Fi is on the train, Wi-Fi is every single location. Wi-Fi in Starbucks, it's everywhere now. You can't escape it. And there are people who are electro-sensitive to magnetic fields and things, and they're really suffering. They were suffering with 4G, but they're going to suffer even more with 5G. It really is debilitating for some people. I mean, their lives are going to be so miserable. But again, I walk around with a lump of, I think it's black tourmaline. I've got it in my pocket now. Black tourmaline is supposed to help protect you from a toxic environment. I got it from a crystal shop. It only cost me like £8 or something, and I just keep that in my pocket.
Okay.
And I've got lumps of organite that my friends have made, and I keep those in my pocket. And I have to admit that when I'm on a phone, when I've got, I have a device on my mobile phone which blocks helps protect me from the radiation.
Yeah.
And it fell off my phone a while ago, and I started getting hot ear again. But this gizmo I've got in my pocket protects me.
Okay.
Very good.
But Pete, just remind me, because what I've got on me, I didn't know. I knew what it's called, but I forgot. It's Shungite, right?
Shungite.
Yeah.
No, well, Shungite is good as well. I've got that in my living room.
Because I've got this on now, yeah. And you got that as well, Pete? Yeah. And she's got Shungite herself. Yeah, so we're trying
I've got a ball of Shungite that just sits in my living room, yeah.
Okay, all right. Before
there are things we can do. This is the thing, you know, if I can stay healthy despite the environment, we all can. We all can, and iodine is particularly important. You know, it's really important, iodine. We're all iodine depleted.
Well, I need to speak to you properly around that, because one of the things we want to do in the near future, just got to organise it properly, where we have a seminar and definitely have you down there and talk about certain things we can do to protect ourselves. And because definitely, you know. But before you leave, right? It's a question I want to ask you, because remember last time I was fascinated, and funny enough, I had a conversation with my colleague P Tuesday, the conversation me and you had, and you was telling about this company in Clapton where you can pay them to manipulate the weather. I want to just break that down to us, because YP's.
We were going to. Well, I was informed. It's in Clapham, near Clapham Junction Station,
Clapham
actually.
Junction. All right.
And there is. We were going to do a demonstration there, but I believe it's on the second floor. It's in a sort of like an office block. But there are people out there. You know, like you said before with Paul McCartney. There are people out there. If you pay them enough money, they will give you a lovely sunny day for your wedding or a very special event. It probably costs an arm and a leg. But when we had the last royal wedding, I don't know if you noticed, the weather was absolutely unbelievably gorgeous. But the following day, it chucked it down. It chucked it down. It was absolutely pelting. Because I remember doing a video going, and I said, you know, it wasn't like this yesterday for the royal wedding, was it? They would have engineered that, definitely, to keep it warm. It was very hot, actually. It was warm and sunny, very hot that day.
Yeah, it was a nice day. Okay, then, well, listen, I don't want to, I know you got your dinner to
yeah, I've got to go and chop a few vegetables and things,
right. But I will give you a call over the weekend, just to keep in touch with you.
Okay, right, thanks, Brother Dougie,
and you know, and make sure everything's good with you. And we're going to encourage people to make sure to see your stuff online and stuff. And and that's where we're at, So you take care.
Yeah.
And enough respect again,
Yes.
Bye-bye, Cassandra.
Thank you.
Bye, Cassandra.
Take good care, all of you.
Yes.
And stay positive. The most important thing, stay positive. Don't let this get you down.
It's
most
true.
important.
It's true. Very true. Very, very,
very true.
Very true. As Cassandra
we are
said,
not alone. We have help.
All right.
Not alone.
As Cassandra
Take
said.
good care.
All right. Bye-bye. I have to call you the Terminator woman,
Oh, dear.
Okay, then. Take care, darling.
I will indeed. Thanks, Brother Dougie. Bye.
Okay, bye. Okay, then. That's Cassandra on the line, and what a vibration she's under. You know, lively. She's full of energy. And, you know, flipping out. I'm kind of frightened of her because, I mean, the kind of vibe she's under, I mean, nothing can go wrong. You know what I mean? If we listen to her, I'm sure that everything will be all right. How do you find her then?
Yeah, very good. I mean, she's actually saying everything what we need to hear. I think, you know, and very informative.
Yeah.
But you know, I think we need to know more about where we can buy these stuff like iodine and things like that.
Yeah. Well, next time we will get to break down when we get these stuff down, make a list, and because that's very, very important, you know. But very powerful woman, you know.
Yeah.
I mean? Very powerful woman, you know. And she walks miles every single day because part of her job is just to walk and drop off flyers and all that kind of stuff there. So got a big rucksack, and you know she's really sorry. She's been an athlete. In fact, I think she's been a swimmer, professional swimmer in the early days. So
it's all about building our immune system up to fight against all this that's coming against us. So you know, exercise.
That's right. Okay then, we're just gonna roll in some reasoning.
For in that light there is life. Good words bring life. and bad words bring death. Come, let's lift up Tottenham. God the Almighty God is with us. Holy King Emmanuel, King Selassie, Jah, Rastafari.
So we go to people's homes, we will set up a little store, we have a number of educational books, all types of books, and we will sell these books. And what was very interesting is that when we went to different homes, you often found that people would always be talking about education in regards to children, or what is taking place with our children out there in the streets in our community. This, you would find that these conversations will be very, very lengthy, and in some cases we never really sold many books. We then started to realise, there's definitely a service that's required, and I said, I'm sure there's something that we can do, and I just couldn't get my head around it. And the idea came up, and
I'm finding over the last 10, 15 years, say 10, 12 years, we're getting more and more black children coming into care, which I'm very concerned about. I'm really wondering what's happening with us as a race. Why is there more black children coming into care now than we were having before? So we're getting like the first and third generation of black people that are born in this country, where they're now giving up on their children and their kids are coming into care. And I'm wondering what's happening. There is a problem within the black race where the family unit is falling apart, where families are not pulling together the way they should be. The foundation of like the old school. You know what I'm saying?
Son, that's why we need to see the value of family, right? And
the value, it is so important.
It's so important because
so
let me say something, Rose, right? That the mafia, right? They was talking about the value of family, right? And the mafia to me are the most wicked people. Then they make money out of prostituting, drugs, and we're going on and on, But as wicked they are, they see the value of family. That's the thing what knits them together.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
So everybody's in the family, they buy a big house and everybody lives in that one house.
The thing is that, right, if the mafia can see the value of family, and we as black people who are, to me, are more righteous and more integrity intact, right?
Yeah.
Surely we will see the value of coming together as a family.
That's right.
You understand where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
So the point of the thing is, at the end of the day, right, family is the key.
It is the key
to all this.
The Sunday dinners, the sitting around the table, the getting the whole family together is very important.
To me, it's very important,
And then the child gets to learn different skills from all different families.
That's right.
Different family members.
Right.
But when you're getting like the father lives over here, the mother lives over there, the children are being torn between both sides.
Yeah.
So the children go to the dad's house for the weekend, then they have to go back to the mum on the weekday. It's so confusing for children.
Okay.
They haven't got the one.
So, Rose, we think will be the way forward in terms of come together and work. I mean, we think it's the way forward.
I think there should be more workshops.
Workshops.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where they should be having more family reunions. I think you should have at least once every 3 months the whole family get together, like one person's house or whatever, and everybody talks and gives like little things about themselves when they were younger, to kind of instill. A lot of the children are not even knowing their full history. Parents are not telling their kids that your family was this culture. Children are not really knowing, they're only knowing just little snippets of mother and father.
Okay.
And they need to know their history, they need to know where, if they don't know where they're coming from, how do they know where they're going?
Right. Well, this is just music to the ears, I mean, if we had our own way, we'll have you here all day and all night.
Yeah,
because, but what I want to do now is focus on where the future holds for you personally.
For me personally, well, if I had the money, I would be out. I'd be gone. I would be gone out of this country. I think Britain as a whole really has spoilt a lot of people's culture. I think that when you listen to my parents talk about the Caribbean and how happy they were, even though they were poor, there was that tight unit family there, that proudness, and that was there. But I think this country divides and separates us as black people. And what you're finding, black people are becoming more like the English. We're becoming more like, materialistic. we go and kill ourselves to go and buy all the designer clothes, and it's the white man that makes them.
That's right.
And it's the white man that, you know,
that's right.
getting rich, that can't stand black people.
See
but
that?
yet we're going out to buy a designer trailer for £200 and think, well, yeah, I've got the garms.
Yeah.
But you're not looking at where it's come. Why can't we buy it from our own people?
Yeah.
Why can't we be strengthened?
Yeah.
You see, we always like to knock the Indians. Right? The Indians, I rate them big time, because the Indians, they stand by one another. They're a group. And they, one Indian help one Indian. We as black people, we're so rude and divided. We're not pulling with each other. This is the problem.
For real.
But where I see myself, if I had the money, I would be gone out of this country. If I could look back, if I could visualize where I would be, I would rather my children be brought up in the Caribbean than be brought up in this country.
Okay.
I'm telling you, because they're coming more and more English oriented. And as I said, we as a black community need to pull together and make our children more proud of where they're coming from.
So the key thing really is about promoting our cultural
instead of complaining about the government, we need to do something ourselves
and start taking responsibility for ourselves.
Yes, the black men take responsibility for their black children, the black women take responsibility for their children, and you know, everybody pulls and take responsibility instead of sitting back and say, well,
blaming everybody else.
Yes.
Yeah, we need to take.
Yes.
Okay then. Well, I must admit, Rose, this is music to the ears, and you know, I really enjoy, you know, your vibes, your energy, and you know, we keep it real here, you know, in the barbershop here. That's how we do our thing, you know what I mean? You know, we're not no blah business, you know what I mean? We just here to get information out there and, you know, the truth, nothing but the truth and the absolute truth. So again, my sister, give thanks. Give thanks. Really love. You know, and like I said, for it's history, you're the first sister and it all seems to you. Alright, so you're fired.
First number one.
Number one, yeah?
Okay.
Alright then, give thanks. Can't get away, definitely can't get away, you know, because, you know, we need to document our young brother Malik. Well, first thing, Malik, tell me how I pronounce it right. What's your name? Malik, yeah? Now then, tell me something, how old are you? 11, yeah? And what school you go to? Parkview Academy. And how do you find school? Interesting. What do you like interesting about school? It's big, yeah? Okay then, and you've got a lot of friends there, yeah? And so forth. Okay then, and so tell me something. I understand you like science, yeah? Okay then. And football, yeah? And so, we're gonna be a footballer when you wanna be a footballer, yeah? Okay then. And which team do you support now? Arsenal, okay then. And who's your favourite player? You don't have a favourite player at all. There's nobody you really say is your favourite player. Okay then. So
pound against the dollar, the pound against the euro dollar, yeah, it doesn't do the pound or the dollar against the countries where these resources are drawn from. Yeah? So the countries where these resources are drawn from, Jamaica, St. Lucia, Barbados, Nigeria, Uganda, Sierra Leone, Congo, South Africa, we could go on and on and on. Yeah? They do not have successful stock markets. This is our legacy of slavery, where we find our race at the bottom of the pile, being utilised as the footstool for everybody else, and whenever they're having charity events like sports relief, like comedy relief, they roll out, the poor so-called African brother or sister, or the poor Nubian brother or sister who's dying of malnutrition, dying of AIDS. The reason why we're dying of malnutrition, the reason why we're dying of AIDS is because our resources are being stolen from us under our feet. Not only are they being stolen from us, as we can see, like I've just explained, through the slave trade, we can look at it from we look at things like sugar and spices. Yeah, we can move on. We can look at it from we look at the brain drain, the movement of our people into the diaspora, the very elite of our people, i.e. the very best of our doctors, the very best of our soldiers, the very best of our engineers, the very best of our scientists, being now feeling that in order for them to make ends meet and to provide for their families, they now have to leave places like Jamaica, like Barbados, like Nigeria, like the Congo, like Sierra Leone, like Liberia, etc., and go to countries like France, like England, like Germany, like USA, yeah, in order to make ends meet. So the drain that has taken place on so-called third world countries of your Americas, of Africa, and of your Caribbeans, all right, is not just the drain of resources as in the material resources, it's also in the drain of the human resources. That's right. So therefore, these countries have found it now very difficult to stabilize their societies, to stabilize their communities, and to have flourishing economies and flourishing countries, where now we would have no need, to immigrate to the West, we would have no need, to, if you like, be constantly being shown on Western programs on their charity telethons has been deprived and has been without. Not only that, when election time comes around, and the citizens of the West make it known that immigration is too high, etc. You see what I'm saying to you? It's very contradictory, Dougie, whereas they have us, and when they say us in the sense of those Commonwealth countries of Sierra Leone, of Nigeria, of Fiji, of New Zealand, of Australia, etc., those indigenous peoples, they want us to fight in the illegal wars in Iraq, in Afghanistan. Okay, but when election time comes around, when we turn up at Gatwick, or we turn up at Heathrow, or we turn up at JFK Airport in New York, we're being told that we're illegal immigrants, and that's an affront, especially when you take a country like England, where you will find that Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II is not just the Queen of England. She's the Queen of Australia, she's the Queen of Canada, she's the Queen of Jamaica, she's the Queen of many other countries in the Commonwealth. Yet, because of maybe our cultural differences, because of, and we have to say, maybe the colour of our skin, we'll turn up at their airports and they'll treat us as if we haven't had any import into this country. Your whole banking industry of this country is made up of the slave industry, of the sugar and spice industry. Lord Downing Street, was one of the biggest slave owners.
Downing Street,
even when they talked about in 2007 the abolition of slavery, it didn't end for another 60 to 80 years afterwards, because those who were involved in the slave trade wanted to be compensated because it was a business. And they now had to.
That's right.
To make up that shortfall.
You gotta give her love. Oh, yeah. Woman needs love just like you do. Don't kid yourself into thinking that she.
Yes. Okay, then we had a fantastic time. So, Sister P inside the house, and she had a fantastic time. She said she liked the music. I said she had a smile and nod her head. She's one of the very first person who loved my music. Some people, when I play music, I look at them and say, it's alright, because I'm with an old school still, So I sort of thing set, you know what I mean?
Be accepted by
Okay then, so I want to give thanks and praise for the powerful reasoning. We had Cassandra, who she's heavy, you know what I mean? I don't know what kind of vibes she's on, but whatever she's doing, she's on vibes, she's on fire. I call it the Terminator, you know what I mean? You have the Terminator man, but so he's not even real, you know what I mean? Because that's just acting, and him don't still act in real life. It's like a baby, you know what I mean? Whatever Cassandra, you know, she keeps rolling and rolling and rolling. You know what I mean? And if there's a battle, you know what I mean? I'm gonna be right beside her because she is strong. You know, I might be a little bit behind her still because you know she's a powerhouse. You know what I mean? You know, but definitely, you know, she's powerful. And also we have Sister Pinsada, who was another giant among us. You know what I mean? So that we have some giants, you know. So you had a good time?
Yeah, I had a really nice time. I didn't talk a lot today, but next time, yes.
Okay then, fantastic. All right. So I'm gonna leave up this tune here. My beautiful brother. A man needs a woman.
You better stop fooling around. Yeah, 'cause she will too. Yeah. Give her that love. Give her that sweet, sweet love. Give her that love. An example to you. By the time poor Jack returned up the hill, somebody else had been loving Jill because she needs it, just like you do. You gotta give her love, oh yeah. Give her some loving in the morning. Give her some loving in the evening. Give her that love. You gotta give her love. Oh, yeah. Love. A woman needs love just like you do. Don't kid yourself into thinking that she don't. She can fool around just like you do. Unless you give her all the loving she wants. Don't make the mistake of thinking old-fashioned. Times have changed from yesterday. No longer will those old double standards be accepted by the women of today. So when you think you're fooling her, she just might be fooling you. Remember, if you can do it, she can too. A woman needs love just like you do. Don't kid yourself in thinking that she don't, 'cause she can fool around just like you do. Unless you give her all the loving she wants. When her eyes are begging for affection, put her off. Don't make her wait. No, don't try to give her that worn out excuse about being tired and working late. I tell you, one day you'll come home early from work, yeah. Open up the door and get your feelings hurt, 'cause a woman needs love just like you do. A woman's got to have it, oh yeah, just like you. And if you're smart, you better stop fooling around, yeah, 'cause she will too, yeah. Give her that love. some loving in the evening time.